Imagine being so damn cursed that a simple high five could send someone 6 feet under. That's the Duke's whole miserable life, trapped in a spooky mansion, cursed by some salty witch, and forced into permanent social distancing. But his maid Alice? That girl gives zero cares. She flirts, she teases, and she makes sure this poor guy never knows peace. It's a wild mix of awkward moments, chaotic energy, and just enough heart to keep you hooked. A story of curses, love, and why beefing with witches is a terrible idea. Now, smash that sub button, slap that like, and let's dive in. A cursed brat, rotting away in some godforsaken mansion, scribbles a letter to his family like they'd ever give a damn. Not that it matters, his touch straight up kills. Courtesy of some vengeful witch with a stick up her ass. No clue why she cursed him, but now he's stuck in exile, dodging death with every breath. His only company? Alice, his menace of a maid, who treats his tragic life like her personal playground. She flirts, taunts, and even shoves a damn cookie between her lips, daring him to take a bite, just to watch him suffer. His past? Pure hell. Cursed at 5, tossed out by his own mother like garbage, and dumped in a mansion where even trees ain't safe. One accidental touch, and boom, they wither to dust. Alice, still unfazed, she hikes up her skirt for laughs, ignoring his desperate warnings to stop tempting him. Then, morning hits, and she's shoving breakfast at him while dropping a bomb. His old friend Philip is coming over. He freaks, begs to cancel, but tough luck. That bastard's already on his way. Bro is acting like he is getting a presidential visit.
You gotta understand that feeling of being a loner, cut off from the world.
Are you describing yourself? The cursed boy hesitates, questioning if he even remembers this bastard Philip. Alice? Oh, she remembers. His so-called childhood friend, the little menace who used to chuck bugs and all sorts of crap at him for fun. With that in mind, the boy ditches his usual rags and suits up, demanding Alice get lost so he can change in peace. But Alice, being the menace she is, refuses. Hell, she even offers to strip down if that'd make things fair. In the end, she wins, and he begrudgingly changes with her watching like it's a damn show. While fixing his tie, Alice gets way too close, forcing him to bark at her to back off. Not just from him, but from Philip too. No way in hell does he want another man seeing even a glimpse of her bare skin. Alice, smug as ever, assures him she only plays these little games for him. Then Philip finally arrives, looking a little spooked, rolling up with his men like he's stepping into enemy territory. The cursed boy leads them inside, but the whole vibe is awkward as hell. Philip walking on eggshells, trying not to set him off. Then comes the bathroom excuse. Philip asks for directions, and Alice offers to guide him. But once they're alone, Philip makes his move, stopping Alice in her tracks, offering her a way out. A job somewhere far from this cursed place, away from the so-called monster she serves. His voice drips with concern, but the insult couldn't be clearer. Philip isn't just scared for Alice. He's scared of the childhood friend he once tormented. Bochan storms in, shutting Philip down before he spews more crap about Alice. Philip flinches, shoving his stick forward to keep distance, then drops the real reason for his visit. He never wanted to come. His mother sent him not out of concern, but to deliver the final blow. Everything is going to his brother, and the family is cutting ties completely. Philip throws one last dagger, saying he won't be back, then walks out like he just buried a corpse. The boy swallows the pain, acting unbothered, ordering Alice to prep dinner. Later, alone with his thoughts, the weight of his curse drags him down. No family, no future, just exile and decay. Alice interrupts, calling him to eat. As they walk, he finally mutters what's been clawing at him, admitting his uselessness. Alice, unfazed, smirks and promises they'll break his damn curse together. Bochan buries himself in a book about his wretched curse, trapped in the reality of never touching a soul. Alice, ever the menace, snaps him out of it with relentless compliments, making his skin crawl. Just as the torture continues, Rob finally drags himself in after nursing his ancient back, apologizing for the long absence before jumping back to work. The old man even chuckles at the chaos Alice brings. Rob moves to the garden, working like a machine, which worries Boken, but Alice brushes it off. Moments later, Rob knocks, already done, hauling in tea like he didn't just break his spine outside. Boken orders him to ease up and split duties with Alice. Before leaving, Alice throws in her usual teasing, lifting her skirt just enough to make his life miserable. Later, Boken dodges as Rob reaches for him, reminding the old man his touch is a death sentence. Rob, ever confident, immediately proves himself wrong when his back gives out, sending him crashing to the floor. Alice rushes to his aid while Boken moves on, focusing on writing a piano score. If his family ditches him for good, he'll at least have a way to survive. Playing a ballad, he admits he wrote it for Alice, who gets too close, forcing him to order her back. Instead, she bends over the fireplace in a way that has him struggling not to stare. Defeated, he lets her listen. Exhausted, Boken naps, telling Alice to wake him for dinner. Meanwhile, at the family palace, his little sister Viola ditches the dining hall, ordering a carriage. She storms into Boken's mansion, leaving him fuming at Alice for letting her in. With zero shame, Viola lounges, throwing a list of lavish dishes at Alice while Boken glares. He knows she's here for amusement, nothing more. When she catches him eyeing her, she fires back, accusing him of liking younger girls, making his blood boil. Girl, Boken is not a Minecraft YouTuber. He's not into young girls.
Who said that Minecraft YouTubers are only into young girls and not boys?
Alice soon returns with Viola's ridiculous feast. As she turns to leave, Viola smirks, catching the way Boken's eyes linger on Alice a little too long. She calls him out on it, and Boken, too exhausted to lie, admits he likes Alice. Viola immediately shifts into a self-proclaimed love expert, offering to teach teach him the Viola method. Everyone has insecurities, she claims, using her round face as an example. She tells Bokhan to hide his dark circles to appear more appealing, but instead of just covering his eyes, he ends up shrouding his entire face like a cursed goblin. After stuffing herself, Viola finally prepares to leave. Before stepping out, she urges Bokhan to break his curse and return home. Bokhan is caught off guard by the sudden sentiment, but Viola quickly shrugs it off as simple concern. As she swings the door open, she slams straight into Rob, turning into a useless mess. When Rob dryly asks why she's here, Viola, batting her lashes like a fool, claims she came for him. Rob, unimpressed, tells her to be careful before she gets air in her eye. Squealing like a love-struck idiot, Viola hops into her carriage and vanishes. Later that day, Boshan's scream tears through the mansion, sending Alice rushing to his aid, only to find him cowering from a cat. Amused, Alice starts petting the creature, while Bokhan wipes the horror off his face. The cat, unimpressed, locks eyes with Bokhan before launching itself off Alice and straight at him. In the process, it shreds Alice's maid outfit, giving her yet another excuse to torment him. Rob appears, immediately sprinting after the cat like a man on a mission. Once he catches it, Bokhan sighs in relief, only for Rob to casually pet the little menace and set it free. The cat then lunges at Bokhan again, snagging onto his bolo tie. That's when Rob notices a note attached to its collar. Reading it, Bokhan realizes the cat has been abandoned, just like him. Later that night, he stands on the balcony, lost in thought. Alice appears, and Bokhan tells her that this very room once held Rob and Sharon, her mother, dancing together. He then asks Alice for a dance. She refuses at first, demanding he ask properly. After he does, they share a dance, never touching, yet somehow closer than ever. Bored out of his mind, Bokhan picks up a snooker cue, only for Alice to slink up way too close, enjoying his discomfort. Deciding to turn the tables, he challenges her to a match with a simple rule. The loser obeys the winner's request. Bokhan dominates the game, victory within his grasp. But just as he lines up his final shot, Alice turns on the charm, throwing him off so badly he botches the shot and hands her the win. Bracing for whatever torment she has planned, Bokhan is thrown off when she simply asks him to take her to town. Turns out, there's a costume festival. Later that day, Alice steps out in a gothic-style dress, looking like she walked straight out of a vampire's dreams, while Bokhan skulks beside her in a plague doctor outfit, hiding his wounded pride behind the mask. Reminds me of the bubonic plague.
Not gonna lie, the doctors during the bubonic plague had some of the best strips mankind has ever seen.
Bokhan struggles in his bulky plague doctor costume, losing Alice in the chaotic festival crowd. Meanwhile, Alice crosses paths with a masked woman who mistakes her for Sharon, her mother. Before Alice can ask what's going on, the woman bolts, leaving her even more confused. Wandering alone, Bokhan stumbles upon a crying boy, lost just like him. Spotting a piano nearby, he plays a soothing melody, calming the boy's nerves. The music draws in the crowd, and the once tense atmosphere turns into a lively celebration. As Bokhan wonders where Alice is, she appears, and they walk together through the festival. But the townspeople view him as a cursed figure, whispering about him being the death incarnate. Unsettled, Bokhan admits to Alice that he's just a boy cursed by fate. To lighten the mood, Alice suggests they climb the clock tower. At the top, Bokhan is entranced by the glowing moon, and Alice begins a fairy tale about a princess who loved the moon. The princess, engaged to a prince, was tricked by a witch who banished him to the moon. Each night, the princess kissed the moon, hoping for his return. Bokhan jokes about the prince having an adventure in space, but then opens up, telling Alice that, like the princess, they're both too close, yet too far, unable to touch because of his curse. Bokhan, flustered, confesses his love to Alice, but apologizes for not being able to get closer. Alice promises to wait for him no matter what. Back from the festival, Bokhan finds Alice wrapped in a blanket and awkwardly tells her to dress modestly. She teasingly agrees, dresses, and invites him in, planning to make him feel at ease. Just when Bokhan expects something sweet, Alice asks to fall asleep. After a playful tease, Alice reassures him she'll stay by his side. As he drifts into sleep, Bokhan asks for a date. A few days later, Alice is with Bokhan on a boat, excited for the meteor shower he promised. She's thrilled to have him all to herself until a gust of wind blows his hat away. As Alice tries to catch it, she falls into the river. Worried, Bokhan reaches to help, but Alice, ever bold, asks for a kiss. He refuses, reminding her she'd die if he kissed her. Alice, undeterred, says she'd gladly die for him. He still refuses, and she pushes him into the water in playful revenge. Soaked and frustrated, Bokhan grumbles about her intentions, but Alice mockingly apologizes, saying he needed a swim anyway. The meteor shower over, they head to shore, clothes dripping. Bokhan, defeated, admits he wanted to confess, but suggests they call it a night, the moment lost. The next day, Alice suddenly becomes distant, ignoring Bokhan like a cat who's been bathed, cold and indifferent. Bokhan, anxious and confused, tries to lighten the mood by offering a Charlie Chaplin impersonation. Alice doesn't even flinch, coldly retorting, "Has your mother's neglect finally driven you to madness?" Bokhan, desperate, asks if it's because of last night, but Alice simply says she's fine, which only frustrates him more. He shouts that when a girl says she's fine, she's almost never fine. Still, Alice walks away, leaving him helpless. Frustrated, Bokhan considers finding new hobbies, but an idea strikes him. He turns to Rob, asking him to touch Alice on his behalf. Rob, confused, sarcastically asks if he should bring over a chair for Bokhan to watch. Flustered, Bokhan clarifies that he just wants Rob to check Alice's forehead. Rob confirms it. Alice has a fever and has been keeping her distance distance to protect him. Realizing her concern, Bohan helps Alice to her room and promises to support her through her recovery. Alice, as blunt as ever, tells him she'd rather have a warm bowl of soup than his support. A few days later, Alice is back to her teasing ways, and the cold, snowy weather leaves Bohan feeling down. To cheer him up, Alice gives him a scarf she knitted herself. The scent of her perfume on it makes Bohan feel warm inside. They head outside to enjoy the snow, joined by Rob, and soon, a fierce snowball fight ensues. Watching Alice throw snowballs with deadly accuracy, Bohan imagines her as a war hero in snowball combat. After a fun day, Bohan refuses to take off the scarf, feeling close to Alice. Suddenly, Alice panics when one of her earrings goes missing. It's a precious heirloom from her late mother. Bohan rushes to find it, but the bitter wind knocks him out in the snow. Meanwhile, a bat hovering above sees the mansion and lands to search for food. Transforming into a human, the creature finds Bohan unconscious and wakes him. Bohan explains he's searching for the earring to help Alice, but the cold overtakes him and he faints again. My guy is probably high on snow. That's the only reason anyone can faint this much.
Not everyone is a drug addict like you, dude.
Seeing Bohan struggling for Alice, the stranger uses fire magic to melt the snow and hands him the earring, introducing herself as Cuff, the witch. She says she can't break his curse. It's beyond her power. Bohan invites her to the manor, where Cuff demands to be taken to the bathroom. As the girls leave, Bohan wonders if they're getting along. The thought of Alice making a new friend puts him in such a good mood that he starts dancing and singing. Cuff returns demanding food. As they eat, she explains how she got separated from her friend and was starving in the cold. After devouring an absurd amount of food, Cuff talks about which kind, but admits she doesn't know the witch who cursed him. She reveals that witches are regularly hunted by witch hunters and that she and her friend lost their parents to them. Cuff, whose father was human, shares how she was an outcast, shunned by both witches and humans. After finishing her story, Cuff says no more, fearing she'd overshare. With a bittersweet smile, she wishes her friend were there to help her. Hearing her speak so fondly of her friend, Bashan remarks that Cuff must care about him deeply. This shuts her up immediately, and she leaves the mansion in a huff. The next morning, Alice sees the snowman Bohan made and reflects on her time as a maid. It was Bohan's kindness when she was struggling that made her feelings for him grow. The next day, Alice rolls in with Bohan's tea and rips on his awful outfit. Bohan's actually happy to get a compliment from the one person who doesn't treat him like dirt. He asks if she doesn't get bored of wearing the same stuff every day, offering to hook her up with new clothes. Alice, not missing a beat, casually drops that she changes her undies daily, completely ignoring what he was asking. Viola shows up next, all ready to see Bohan, and as usual, Rob greets her like a freaking gentleman. She turns into a blushing mess, imagining spending all her time with him. As soon as Rob leaves, Bohan has a field day teasing Viola about her embarrassing crush. Viola's quick with a comeback, saying boys her age are brainless, and age ain't a thing for her. Annoyed with her brother, she decides to mess with Alice instead. When Alice brings in some sweets, Viola zooms over to her, sizing her up like a piece of meat. She flat out tells Alice she's missing some serious charm and could use a makeover. Acting like she's the queen of fashion, Viola offers to help Alice level up. A little while later, Viola has Alice show off some new face expression to Bohan. As soon as Alice does, Bohan's all over her, calling her beautiful. Viola's smug as hell and suggests she rewards herself by hanging out with Rob. She pitches the idea of making dough with him, and the kitchen's instantly full of awkward tension as Viola flirts with Rob, joking about them looking like they just tied the knot. Viola is really trying to hit on a man at least 4 times her age, huh?
And then she was the one accusing my guy Bohan of liking young girls. What a hypocrite young lady.
While Alice and Bohan enjoy their little moment, Viola watches from a distance, throwing some shade at Rob, saying Bohan's lucky to have Alice and him around. She warns Rob to make sure Bohan grows up right, or their younger brother will snatch the family headroll. Rob thanks her, noting that under her tough critic persona, she's secretly soft for Bohan. Viola's embarrassed, but smiles. Before heading home, later, Rob hands her the biscuits they made and tells her to visit again. Viola gets lost in thoughts of Rob, dreaming of all the sweet moments. The next day, Alice hits the ice for some skating, while Bohan lounges on the sidelines, soaking in the view. Suddenly, a crow lands next to him and starts calling Alice beautiful. Bohan thinks he's losing it at first, but then the crow keeps on with the compliments. Turns out, the crow's not some random bird. He's Zane, a magic user and Cuff's buddy. After Alice finishes skating, Zane turns human and introduces himself. Boshan's having none of it, telling Zane to stay away from Alice. But Zane's all, she's cute. He then rants about how much he loves women and how they dress for men. Bohan shuts him down cold, saying women dress for themselves, not for dudes like him. As Zane wonders where Cuff's at, Alice reveals a bat snuggling up to her. The guys stare in shock, watching as the bat shifts into human form. Yep, it's Cuff. After greeting Zane, Cuff turns her attention to Alice and Bohan, demanding to try ice skating. Zane can't resist comparing her to Alice, saying Alice is way more refined. Cuff, pissed off, tells him to shut it. She's fine just the way she is. After bickering like they've known each other forever, Cuff grabs Zane by the waist, dragging him into a spin. She skates circles around him, then calls Alice to join in, who drops Boshan into the mess too. When it's time to bail, Cuff and Zane drop a serious bomb. They're taking Bohan to the witch's sabbath on the next blood moon. Zane's all mysterious, saying they can't spill witch tea, but if Bohan wants answers on who cursed him, that's the spot. But hey, better watch his back in case things get real ugly. The next night, Viola spills to Alice that she's all about Rob, but Bohan told her to stop acting like a drama queen. screen. Viola pouts and snuggles up to Alice, gossiping about their love lives. Alice admits she loves Boken for saving her and giving her life some damn meaning. Viola's sure Alice isn't blind to her brother's smooth moves though. Then, Viola starts whining about her mom never loving her, wishing someone would just pamper the hell out of her. She drifts off to sleep, leaving Alice low-key impressed by how cute she is, realizing she's got that same charm as Boken. Soon enough, Boken strolls in to find Alice all cuddled up with Viola. Jealousy hits like a truck. He wants to be the one in her arms. Alice, being her usual tease, tells Boken to shower Viola with compliments when she wakes up. When he asks why, Alice smirks, saying it's cause she wants Viola to feel like a damn princess. The day starts like usual. Alice brings tea for Boken, and he casually comments on her outfit, feeling like it's too revealing. He suggests she needs something more proper. Alice shows him pictures of herself in various dresses, but none of them hit the mark for Boken. Annoyed, Alice jokes she'll just stop wearing clothes altogether. Boken, wanting some peace and quiet, heads to the conservatory, only to find it overtaken by vines and trees. Clearly irritated, he grumbles, and Alice apologizes, admitting she's let it go. Boken, realizing the mansion's too big for just the two of them to maintain, asks Alice to clean up. To his surprise, she pulls gardening tools from her jugs and gets to work. Reminds me of those Eastern Asian aunties who pull out just about anything from their natural racks.
Your search history must be one hell of a place to visit.
Alice seems ready for anything as she pulls out the gardening tools, and Boken, itching to help, uses his curse to make the trees wither. He thinks about the witch who cursed him, how she tied him down with rules. Anything he touches with bare hands is destroyed, but with gloves, nothing happens. The witch clearly wanted him under control, and damn, she's done a good job of it so far. Snapping out of his thoughts, he catches Alice admiring the flowers. She casually asks him to remove them, saying she's tired of them. Not missing a beat, Boken crafts a garland of wilted flowers for her, offering it as his symbol of love. When Alice smiles, he silently promises he won't stay cursed forever. He'll get his freedom. He'll find clues at the witch's sabbath, and then he'll live freely with Alice, finally accepted by his mother. Later, Boken hears Alice scream. Rushing over, he sees a mischievous cat has stolen her gown. Alice, taking full advantage of the situation, teases him mercilessly. Focused on the task, Boken tries to stay calm, but the teasing gets to him. Eventually, he finds the gown, shredded by the cat. Alice's disappointment stings. How can she be this innocent? Then, Alice decides to return Boken's jacket by stripping in front of him. Nothing underneath. Panic hits him. He stops her and suggests she shower before bed. Alice, ever bold, asks if he wants to join her. Boken bolts, fearing his willpower won't survive the temptation. A few days later, Cuff and Zane arrive at the manor, ready to take Boken to the witch's sabbath. Boken is freaking out about meeting witches, while Alice stays cool as a cucumber. Zane and Cuff show up to see him armed with kitchen utensils. They tell him to chill. He'll be fine as long as the witches don't find out he's human. Boken wonders why Cuff and Zane are going this far to help him, but quickly shakes off the thought. He takes the cape from Zane, which will mask his scent. Zane opens a portal, and Boken and Alice step into the witchy realm, instantly overwhelmed by the bizarre creatures. A masked witch kicks things off with an attendance check. Zane whispers with her, and Daleth, the leader, questions who the newcomers are. Cuff, trying to make a clever move, messes up and claims they're relatives. The witches cheer as the Sabbath begins. After a long speech, Daleth ends it, leaving Boken disappointed. With nothing else to do, Alice approaches Daleth, who greets her like an old friend. Turns out, she's the same witch Alice met during the festival. When Alice asks about her mom, Daleth cryptically mentions she knew her briefly. Boken joins the chat and is recognized by Daleth, who reveals she knew the witch who cursed him. But when he asks more, Daleth snaps, burns his cloak in rage, and the witches go wild, chasing Boken and Alice. Realizing they're in deep, Zane opens a portal, and they escape just in time. Back at the mansion, Boken asks why the witches helped him. Cuff admits she was impressed by his dedication to Alice and decided to befriend him. Grinning, Boken tells them they're always welcome at his place. After they leave, Boken tells Alice he's happy to have new friends. Seeing him so content, Alice's heart softens, and she promises to break his curse with him, no matter what.
As usual, Alice serves Boken his tea, and like a total loner, he can't help but fixate on her outfits. He tells her she should wear something that isn't straight up dark all the time, maybe try a white dress for a change. The thought of Alice in a gown messes with his head, and his face turns as red as a tomato. Panicking, he tries to push the thoughts away, but ends up looking like a complete loser. The next day, Boken spots a weird-ass pot that looks way too much like him. Curious, he asks Alice why it's in the mansion. Alice, all excited like a total geek, explains it's a magic pot made by a witch. She pulls out a recipe book like she's about to cook up some serious witchcraft. Boken's unimpressed as hell, but Alice is not hearing it. She goes on about making a love potion for him, and like a sucker, he's forced to help. As they mix the ingredients, Alice drops the bomb. This pot can actually talk. Now Boken's thinking it might be good for more than just making potions. But then, the room fills with thick smoke from the magic. Once it clears, Alice asks him to stir the damn mixture. When he finishes, Alice tells him the truth. It's not a love potion. It's some bullshit remedy for his curse. Boken's not pissed though. He expected the curse to stay because Daleth already warned him breaking it wasn't gonna be easy. In the end, he hands the pot off to Rob, thinking it'd be a fun joke for the house. But when he catches Viola giving it the stink eye like she's about to murder it, he starts thinking the pot's in danger. Later, Alice hands him a music sheet by some jerk named named McFarlane. She explains if he plays it right, he could break the curse, but if he messes it up, he'll lose his damn mind. Balkan, skeptical as always, tries it anyway. Suddenly, McFarlane's ghost pops up out of nowhere. Alice watches, thinking Boshan's lost it. He tries to explain, but McFarlane reveals only the person playing the music can see him. McFarlane turns to Alice, hitting on her like some creepy old dude, but Alice shuts him down cold. She tells him she respects gentlemen, not the lame, washed-up jerks.
This Einstein-looking dude really thinks he got a chance?
Einstein? He looks more like a mixture of Alexander the Great and Aristotle.
Are we seriously comparing this idiot to geniuses and a literal king?
Heartbroken, McFarlane tries to distract Boshan, but the young master nails the tune, making the ghost vanish like a fart in the wind. But when the curse stays put, Bokan screams in frustration. The next day, he knocks on Alice's door only to find her in an outfit that's way too revealing. His face goes beet red, and he quickly slams the door, wondering if Alice even sees him as a man. Bokan remembers something Viola said about getting a woman's heart racing to win her over. He decides to try and scare Alice with a creepy painting of a woman crying bloody tears. But instead, Bokan gets freaked out himself, knocking over a vase that's super precious to Rob. The butler gives him that deadly glare, and Bokan's off to hide. Alice joins him in the closet, and they end up under the bed, playing hide and seek. Alice teases him for a bit, then asks if he wants to grow up. Bokan admits he wants to start drinking so he can feel more confident around her, which makes Alice smile. She tells him she's touched by his honesty. Flustered, Bokan smiles back, feeling like he's finally made an impression. Then, Rob hunts them down, and Bokan's ready to get yelled at for breaking the vase. But to his surprise, Rob tells him they found some hidden jewelry in the soil thanks to the vase. Apparently, some old servants used to steal jewelry from Rob's family and hide it in the pots. Thanks to Bokan, they found priceless heirlooms. But Rob's still pissed and says they'll have a nice long talk about the vase. Later, Bochan wakes up in a strange forest, confused as hell, and sees Alice there too. She explains how they were reading in the library, trying to find a cure for his curse. They randomly picked a book, and bam, a fairy appeared. She told them to find a white rabbit with a pocket watch, and in exchange, she'd grant them a wish. Alice lost consciousness after that, and now they're in this weird place, likely still asleep in the library. The two decide to find the rabbit and wish away Balkan's curse. Alice gets a little bold and makes him touch her, jug, but Balkan's bummed because he can't feel anything in this dream world. Out of nowhere, a rabbit hops by and they chase it. They share a few sweet moments before reaching a cliff. Alice, all serious now, asks Balshan for a kiss. Right when he's about to give her one, they wake up from the dream. Balkan wishes he could keep it going.
Hey guys, I know I'm interrupting the video, but I'm just here to remind you that most of you guys watching this video are not actually subscribed to the channel. So if you're enjoying this video so far, make sure you click that subscribe button and hit the notification bell for more updates in the future. Now let's get straight back into the video.
The next day, Cuff shows up, trying to prove she's not as clueless as Zane thinks by learning the alphabet in the most disastrous way possible. Everyone quickly realizes she's not exactly the sharpest tool in the shed when it comes to studying. Wanting to change the subject, Bokan asks where Zane is, and Cuff excitedly reveals he's at the circus. Bokan's taken aback. Has Zane decided to become an entertainer? Cuff explains that with their unique appearances, joining the circus was their best bet. She even thinks Zane's clever for blending in so well. Bokan's not convinced though. Rob then tells Cuff to study hard and learn her ABCs. Meanwhile, Walter strolls through the hall, charming the housemaids left and right. Viola rolls her eyes, calling him a cheap idol. Walter brushes off the insult and asks if she's planning to visit their cursed brother Bokan. Viola snaps back, saying it's none of his business. Walter reminds her he'll inherit everything soon. Viola hits back, reminding him he's second-born. If Bokan breaks his curse, he might be the one chosen as heir. Walter loses it, throwing himself on the floor, whining about how that's the one thing that really gets under his skin. Later, he confesses to Viola that he hates Bokan for being born first. Annoyed by Walter's whining, Viola tells him to find a hobby instead of moping around. Walter heads to Bokan's place, but when Viola arrives, she spots Cuff and assumes she's a burglar. Eager to earn some head pats from Rob, Viola tries to capture Cuff, only to be thrown off by Cuff's surprising strength. Stunned by the unexpected resistance, Viola curses her mom for not passing down any muscle. Meanwhile, Cuff mistakes Viola's actions for attention-seeking behavior, like a child throwing a tantrum. After some struggle, Viola finally manages to tie Cuff up, but the latter just sits there, unfazed. While they talk, Cuff tells Viola she reminds her of Bokan, which annoys Viola since she hates being compared to him. Just then, Bokan, Alice, and Rob walk in. Seeing Viola in such a compromising position with Cuff, they silently leave, deciding to give them some space. Later that night, Alice and Boshan bond over chess. Alice comments that snowstorms remind her of the first time she entered this place. Flashback to Rob entering Bokan's room, finding it destroyed again. He announces he's hired a new maid for Bokan. When Bokan sees Alice, he's flustered and orders orders her to leave. But Alice isn't afraid of his temper and tries to remind him they've known each other since childhood. This only makes things worse. And Boken snaps, telling her not to remind him of the past. The next day, Boken grows even colder, ordering Alice to clean his wrecked room in 3 days or she's fired. Alice, seeing right through his anger, decides to clean the mess alone, taking no offense at his cruelty.
Bro is doing everything but level up his Riz game.
He can't rizz her up if she is already rizzed. Okay, let's start talking in English now. In the dim room, Alice picks up the broken glass, thinking about how Boshan used to be a decent guy before turning into a jerk. The next morning, Boshan walks in, stunned to see the room cleaned, and realizes he's been an ass. He feels guilty and starts crying, but Alice, as usual, just stays there like nothing happened. Fed up with himself, Boken storms off into the snowy night, letting all his dark thoughts take over. He curses that damn witch for ruining his life. He ends up collapsing, feeling like total crap. But then he thinks of Alice and wishes for one last chance to see her. Out of nowhere, she shows up, but he tells her he's done and doesn't want to go on anymore. Alice, pissed off, throws snow in his face, calling him selfish for giving up on everyone who cares. She reminds him how he helped her when she was weak, and those words finally smack some sense into him. He gets up and follows her back home. Rob, seeing Boshan alive, asks if he and Alice are finally getting along. After a second of hesitation, Boken admits he likes her. Just then, Alice checkmates him in their chess game, admitting she moved a few pieces while he was stuck in his head. Frustrated, Boken grumbles that it's impossible not to like her. On Christmas Eve, Viola asks for gift ideas for Rob. Boken suggests glasses, but Viola wants to look into Rob's eyes, not through them. Alice then proposes a handkerchief, which Viola jumps on and runs off to buy. Meanwhile, Alice helps Boshan get ready, teasing him a little, mentioning how she'd love to spend Christmas Eve alone with him. Boken gets hyped and tells his staff to lock the doors so they're undisturbed. Alice laughs and reminds him that Cuff and Zane are coming. Realizing it's a party, Boken panics, thinking his awkwardness will ruin everything. Alice calms him, telling him to just be himself. Back at Boken's place, Viola gets scolded by her mom Gerbera for being out all day. Gerbera criticizes her fashion choices, making Viola feel down. In response, Viola decides to spend Christmas with Boken and Rob instead. Walter, annoyed by his sister's preference for Boken, dresses up as a carriage driver and follows her. At Boken's mansion, Alice and Boken greet Zane and Cuff, who've brought a Christmas tree. Cuff, all excited about Santa Claus, reminds Boken of a child who still believes in fairy tales. As they decorate the tree, Zane tells Boshan he likes Cuff. Boken encourages him to tell her, but when Zane tries, Cuff's already passed out. Viola rushes into the mansion, dropping Rob's gift. Walter, seeing it, thinks it's for Boken and gets jealous. He sneaks in, finds the house empty, and assumes Boken's lonely, making him feel smug. Finding a Santa costume, Walter decides to play Santa. Cuff spots him and, all hyped, mistakes him for the real deal. Cuff demands her gift, and Walter, thinking it's for him, hands over Viola's present. Cuff gets hyped, decides to play Santa's helper, and accidentally drops Walter into the chimney. The others freeze, shocked, until Viola recognizes him. A brawl erupts when Cuff returns with the present, and Viola demands it back. Meanwhile, Walter confronts Boken, bitter about his life. Boken steps in to stop the fight between the girls and gets Viola's thanks. Walter challenges Boken to uncover the truth of his curse first, with the family title on the line. Boken accepts, and Walter tries to make a dramatic exit, but ends up looking like an idiot.
Bro is the middle child. Leave him alone.
Well, he can stop embarrassing himself for a change. The party wraps up without any more drama. As everyone leaves, Alice demands a kiss under the mistletoe. Boken trips, giving Alice the chance to tease him. He then reminds her how she saved him years ago, when he wanted to give up on life. He confesses his feelings by the fireplace, telling her he likes her. Alice is stunned, but Boken assures her they'll live together, making her smile. In the present, Boken reflects on how he has people who care for him, all thanks to Alice. Alice, laying in the snow, promises to live her life with him forever. Alice recalls her childhood, where she adored her mom Sharon, the head maid, who was loved by everyone but still got side-eyed by the maids for not being tough enough. Sharon tried to show some edge but ended up butchering the act, and Alice, ever the supportive daughter, still showered her with praise. But honestly, Alice's real joy came from watching Boken, and Sharon, the ever-astute mom, caught on and teased Alice about her crush, promising to support her love story. When Rob showed up with his scary face, Alice dove behind Sharon like a ninja, but Rob acted all friendly, making Alice realize he wasn't the terrifying monster she thought. Sharon then promised to protect Alice, but you know, life's cruel and she couldn't keep that promise. Present day, Alice grips her mother's locket like it's her lifeline, remembering the past with a soft smile. The next day, Zane is busy spying on Cuff because, according to Viola, she's way too attached to him. Zane watches her try to buy fruit with a cat-shaped stone, which is about as useful as a chocolate teapot. After a series of epic fails, Cuff finally manages to buy the fruit like a grown-up, and Zane silently cheers her on like a proud parent. Suddenly, a little thief tries to snatch Cuff's cash. Cuff, being the badass she is, stops him mid-crime, and then in a true hero move, saves the kid from falling. The boy apologizes, and Cuff, like a true saint, forgives him. Then she looks at the fruit carnage and sighs like a person who just lost their last fry. Zane, out of nowhere, swoops in to help her clean up. Later that night, Alice finds Boshan pacing the hall like he's in a drama scene, unable to sleep. Alice, always ready to spice things up, offers to help him sleep by getting into bed with him. Boken, already sweating, panics and tries to backtrack, but Alice runs off to grab her pajamas, leaving him in a hot mess of nerves. When they're in bed together, Boken admits that her mere presence is making him feel like he's on fire. Alice, being the absolute tease she is, decides to unbutton her shirt, making Boshan short-circuit with nerves. He's all flustered, shouting about how two unmarried people can't share a bed, and Alice, unbothered, buttons up and casually asks about his feelings for his mom. Boken, now a mess of emotions, reflects on his past with Gerbera, realizing he once hated her, but now wants to break the curse and confess his love.
I swear to God, if my mother wore such dark makeup every day, I would be scared of her too.
You are one to say with that ugly face of yours. Boken says if his mom doesn't approve of their relationship, he'll cut ties with his family, but Alice quickly shuts him down, telling him not to even think about it. Boken shrugs it off, saying breaking the curse comes first. Feeling sleepy, he tells Alice he can't wait to dream about her, and she promises to wake him up with a smile. The next day, Boken proudly shows off the mittens Alice knitted for him, prompting Rob to smile and comment on how much he's grown. Rob remembers when Boshan was cursed and how he was afraid to raise him at first. He realized Boshan needed warmth and companionship, which led him to bring Alice into the picture, a decision that would change everything for Boken. Now, Rob feels bad for Alice after she confided in him that she didn't want Boshan to sever ties with his family for her sake. Later that night, Boken plays the piano while Alice sings. He asks her to sing The Owl and the Pussycat, and after she finishes, Boken tells her he's been much happier with her around and vows to break the curse and whisk her away. Alice tells him it's time for her to go, but as she walks away, she sighs, knowing she'll eventually have to leave him when the curse is broken. Unexpectedly, Bokan runs after her, determined to escort her and treat her like a lady. Alice, amused, whispers the true meaning of the song in his ear before heading to her room, leaving him lost in thought. Viola's on a mission to break Boken's curse, but Walter's just being a whiny brat, trying to one-up his older bro every chance he gets. Every time she tries to get something done, he's throwing a tantrum. She finds a servant's logbook and takes it to her room, but Walter, being the clumsy mess he is, ends up stuck in a barrel. Viola doesn't even care enough to help him out. On her way out, she runs into Gerbera, who wastes no time throwing her into some frumpy dress. Viola feels like she's wrapped in curtains, complaining non-stop. Gerbera's like, "This is better than your usual kid outfits," and Viola snaps, asking if she can't just wear what she wants and live her own damn life. Gerbera coldly shuts her down with a nope. Pissed off and feeling totally done, Viola bolts to Boken's place to vent. She starts trash-talking their mom, but Boken's not having it, telling her it's cruel. Viola, acting like a toddler, breaks down into tears and demands Rob give her a hug.
The sister has got a better Riz game than her brother.
Shameful, Boken. How can you not flirt with the girl you like every other second, right? Boken tries to smooth things over, telling Viola she looks fine in the dress. But before he can get another word in, Alice cuts in, pointing out that it's way deeper than just the damn dress. Viola flips out and declares she's moving into the mansion right now. Boken, shocked, shoots her down. Viola's on her knees begging, offering to work as a maid just to be close to him. Rob strolls in, casually compliments Viola, and boom, she's completely distracted. Later, Viola's hyped up about throwing a girl's sleepover, so she, Alice, and Cuff start shooting the breeze about love, cracking jokes that they might end up alone with just their damn pets. Out of nowhere, Thea pops in with a servant's logbook that could have the key to breaking Boshan's curse. The girls are all cozy, laughing, and vibing, not even realizing Daleth is watching them like a hawk. She's done playing games and calls up Zane to send a big, fat message to her little pals. The next day, Alice digs through the servant's logbook when Rob comes and sits next to her. As she flips through the pages, her eyes go wide when she reads about two nuns visiting the mansion. Realizing they were probably witches, Alice immediately asks Rob if he remembers this event. Rob shakes his head, leaving Alice feeling defeated. Just then, Zane shows up with Daleth's message, and Alice finds out that Daleth wants to be friends. Both Alice and Balkan are confused, so Zane explains that in witch speak, Daleth is telling them to stay out of witch business. After assuring them that he and Cuff are on their side, Zane asks Balkan for a bro night. Later that night, Zane sneaks off and swipes Alice's logbook. Turns out, Daleth had ordered him to destroy the book before it uncovered something shady about her. Zane refused at first, but when Daleth threatened Cuff's life, he caved. Just as Zane is about to burn the book, Balkan shows up, and Zane spills everything. With the truth out, Zane hands the logbook over to Balkan, admitting that he'd do anything for Cuff. But this felt wrong. Balkan smiles and tells Zane to go ahead and burn it, saying he doesn't want anything bad happening to his friends. As Zane gets all emotional, he cracks a joke, but warns Balkan that Daleth has been keeping tabs on him and Alice for a while now. Zane's pretty sure Daleth's got her eyes on them, but he knows she can't hear a word of their convo. Without wasting time, Zane tells Balkan there's a way to save Cuff without torching the logbook. With the snap of his fingers, he disintegrates it, keeping just a piece. He then drops the bomb that, with his magic, they can put the book back together whenever they need to dig up the dirt. But he won't do it until Daleth stops spying, and he warns Balkan to keep his magic under wraps. Only he and Cuff are in the know. Balkan nods, and they put on a whole act, making Daleth think the book's gone for good. Back at the mansion, Balkan reassures Alice the logbook's safe since he snagged it to give it a proper read. Out of nowhere, he swears to protect her, echoing her mother's words from the past. Meanwhile, Zane continues his dumb act in front of Daleth, who's getting a good laugh out of it. She's all about karma and faith, so she raises a coffin to show Sharon's body, asking if she's been right all along. At the mansion, Balkan gets his first letter from his mom in ages. Gerbera wants to see him in a week. She's got something important to tell him. Balkan's not exactly hyped about heading to the main house. He's always let Rob deal with the family drama, so this is new territory. Alice notices the tension and asks, so Balkan spills the beans. This is his first time stepping foot in the family mansion since the curse hit, and he got tossed here. He's not about to meet his mom Gerbera before breaking the curse. Seeing how jittery he is, Alice offers to roll with him, which gives him a bit of peace. He decides he's finally gonna come clean to Gerbera about his thing with Alice. Meanwhile, Cuff and Zane roll up to the mansion, but the duo's already split. Zane's not about to waste his time, so Rob fills him in that Alice and Balkan are dealing with a trial they can't avoid. On the wagon ride, Alice asks Balkan if he remembers anything about his family's place, but he just remembers messing around, playing the piano. When he flips the question back at Alice, she just says she only remembers the time she spent with him. They pull up to the mansion, and Viola's there, all serious, saying Boshan needs to meet with their mom right away. Alice wishes him luck and takes off to check on the servants. Balkan heads in, only to be greeted by the jittery staff, all nervous like they're about to get yelled at. As Viola drags Balkan to Gerbera's room, Walter pops up and drops the bombshell that he's ratted out Viola for sneaking around to see Balkan. Balkan, calm as ever, throws some sarcasm at Walter, calling him a gentleman, which only makes Walter's blood boil. When they finally step into the room, Gerbera gives Balkan the coldest reception. She points out it's been 10 years since he got cursed, and still no progress. With the night getting late, she coldly tells him they'll talk tomorrow. Nervous, Balkan tries to speak up, but Gerbera shuts him down, reminding him they'll talk when she's ready. Balkan leaves, a little confused, but later realizes that was Gerbera being lenient. Meanwhile, Alice is treated warmly by the servants and decides to check out her mom's old room. On her way, she bumps into Gerbera, who, for a second, mistakes Alice for Sharon. Realizing her mistake, Gerbera quickly bolts, leaving Alice to process that her mom and Gerbera were once super close. Alice also learns that Gerbera was a lot happier when Sharon was around. That night, Alice returns to her room, and Balkan stops by. She asks how the meeting with Gerbera went, and Balkan complains that she's still as cold as ever. As they chat, Balkan admits he misses Alice, but when he can't kiss her because of his curse, he gets frustrated and decides to crash. The next day, Viola takes Boshan to the spot where he was cursed. Seeing it triggers memories of that spring day when he was out looking for a clover to give Alice and got grabbed from behind before the curse hit. After recalling all the painful memories, Balkan and Viola head inside, where Gerbera is still giving off major boss vibes. When she leaves, Viola tells Balkan he's lucky to be away from her strict rules. At dinner, Gerbera drops the bomb. Balkan has till spring to break the curse, or Walter's taking over the family.
Here comes the real deal. Mommy Gerbera. You just wait.
Wait, is Balkan really going to tell his mother about Alice? Balkan, fed up and sick of Gerbera's crap, accepts her stupid decision But when he tries to talk about Alice, she shuts him down like he's nothing. She straight up tells him that as a freaking aristocrat, he can't be with a maid. That pushes Balkan over the edge. He snaps and tells her off, calling out how she's always treated him and his siblings like dirt. He says he's had enough of her crap and announces he's marrying Alice, then storms out, with Walter and Viola trailing behind. When he walks out of that mansion, he finally earns his siblings' respect. Back home, they chill with a game of chess, while Balkan explains the mess with his mom. Rob, done with his cards, leaves to crash. When it's just Alice and Bo-chan, he tells her he laid it all out to Gerbera. He laughs, saying she didn't even care. Out of nowhere, Balkan stands up like he owns the place, and says he's loving Alice for the rest of his life. Later, as he's passed out sleeping, Alice tucks him in and whispers that she loves him too, and this is where our story ends.
And that was the ending. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. See you guys in the next one.
See you next time!
The Duke's touch means death, thanks to a witch's curse. As a kid, his rich fam ditched him in a creepy old mansion. Now grown, he's stuck with his sassy blonde maid Alice, who flirts like it's her full-time job, and an old butler. Alice knows one touch could kill her, but she doesn't care. She's in deep. Can love break a deadly curse? Or is this a one-sided game of tease and tragedy? The young Duke sits quietly in his mansion. He is trying to build a house of cards. He works carefully, stacking each card with patience. Just then, his maid Alice walks into the room. She appears suddenly and surprises him. The Duke looks a little shocked, but Alice stays calm and speaks gently. Alice tells him that instead of playing with cards, he should be looking for a way to break his curse. She reminds him that his mother gave him a time limit to fix it. The curse is very serious. It causes anything he touches to die. The Duke listens, but he does not seem worried about the inheritance or family matters. He says he only wants to break the curse. He does not care if he loses his family fortune. At the same time, in another place, Cuff and Zane are working at a circus. They are part of the performers there. A small boy comes up to Cuff. He thanks her for helping him join the circus. He explains that before coming here, he was living as a thief. Now he feels like he has a new life. He gives Cuff a flower to show his thanks. Then he says something surprising. He wants Cuff to wait for him until he grows up. He hopes that one day he can be worthy of her love. Zane arrives and hears what the boy says. He laughs and tells the boy that he is still too young to talk like that to a woman. Cuff smiles but says nothing. Later, when Cuff and Zane are alone, they talk about something important. Zane tells her about a friend who once visited the demon realm. That friend collected some magical items during her journey. She gave those items to Cuff. Cuff says that she wants to tell Alice about the items. She thinks they might hold a clue about how to break the Duke's curse. Zane listens carefully. He then asks Cuff what kind of life she wants to live. He explains that if she does not use magic, she can live more peacefully. Without magic, her life will be safer, especially now that she has friends. He wants her to think about living as a normal human, not just as a witch. But Cuff gives him a clear answer. She says that no matter what life she chooses, witch or human, she wants to stay with him. Her heart is with Zane. In the demon realm, someone notices Zane's special powers. He can control time through objects, which is very rare and powerful. The next day, Cuff visits the Duke and Alice at the mansion. She feels happy and free here, so she decides to use her fire magic. She says that at the circus, she cannot use her powers, but here it is okay. But the Duke and Alice quickly ask her to stop. The fire is making everything too hot inside the house. Cuff understands and offers a different idea. She says they should all cool off in a pool. Zane has brought a pool with him. Alice agrees and changes into a bikini. Cuff also wears one, and the two girls go to the pool together. The Duke stays back and tries to pass the time alone. While the girls are having fun in the pool, the Duke starts to feel very hot. Alice notices that he looks tired and warm. She calls out to him and asks him to get into the pool. She says the water will help him feel better. The Duke walks closer, but then something happens. He gets too close to Alice. He accidentally corners her against the wall. Both of them become very nervous. They are standing too close. The Duke quickly realizes the situation and steps back. He does not want to make Alice uncomfortable. After spending some time in the pool, everyone feels more relaxed. Later, Cuff gives the Duke a special gift. Zane has sent it for him. It is a magical box. When the Duke opens it, something magical happens. He gets pulled into a new world. This world is filled with his wishes and dreams. In this magical world, Alice appears. She's dressed like a bunny girl. This other version shows the Duke different rooms. In one room, there are many versions of Alice. In another room, his little sister appears. She says she is proud of him, which makes the Duke happy. In another room, he plays the piano in front of a huge audience. Everyone is watching him perform. Then they open one more door. Alice sees that the Duke's deepest wish is to marry her. Then they decide to leave this dream world. Once they are back in the real world, Alice gently closes the magical box. She tells the Duke that she enjoyed seeing what he truly desires. The Duke smiles. Her words make him feel happy and understood. The next day, we see the Duke is spending time at his mansion. Alice is with him and teaches him how to play mini golf. She holds the club and shows him how to swing it properly. But during the whole practice, Alice keeps teasing him. She makes small jokes and playful comments. Her teasing distracts him every time he tries to focus. The Duke blushes and becomes nervous, so he cannot play properly. At the same time, Viola is at home with her younger brother Walter. She wants to practice using makeup, but her mother does not allow her to try it on her own face. So Viola gets an idea. She asks Walter if she can use his face for makeup practice. Walter is surprised at first, but agrees to help her. Viola brings him to her room and starts applying makeup on his face carefully. Moreover, she puts a wig on him and dresses him up to look like a girl. When Walter looks at himself in the mirror, he's surprised. He actually likes the result. He stares at his face and smiles. Suddenly, a strange idea comes to Walter's mind. He wants to use this moment to create a plan. He thinks maybe he can use this disguise to trick his older brother, the Duke. Viola sees an opportunity and helps him with his plan. She takes Walter to her brother, the Duke, and introduces Walter as a fan who works as a servant. She leaves him alone with the Duke and Alice. She says she's going to find the butler so the three of them can have some fun. The Duke looks at Walter and becomes suspicious. He does not believe this fan story, but even though he doubts it, he still decides to be polite. He invites Walter to play mini golf with him since he has been practicing with Alice recently. As they play, Walter tries to talk to the Duke, but instead of speaking, he writes down messages. He wants to avoid being recognized by his voice, so he stays silent and only uses notes to communicate. They start the game, but the Duke quickly notices that Walter is not good at golf. Then the Duke makes a fun suggestion. He says that if Walter can hit the ball into the hole in just one shot, he will grant him a wish. Walter becomes nervous but takes the challenge seriously. He manages to win the game in one shot. Right away, he asks the Duke to marry him. The Duke is shocked and confused. He tells Walter that he never actually agreed to the wish. He only offered it as a fun game. He apologizes and explains that his heart already belongs to someone else. As they continue talking, the Duke starts to notice something strange. Walter's voice sounds very familiar. It reminds him of his younger brother. Meanwhile, at the circus, Cuff is practicing for her next show. She is focused on her moves while Zane watches her from the side. Then, a little boy named Hugo walks over. He works at the circus and brings juice for Cuff. He says he admires her, even though he is still just a child. Zane sees this and becomes a little jealous. Their boss arrives at that moment and gives Zane some advice. He tells him that if he has feelings for Cuff, he should tell her. He says he will not get in their way and encourages them to share their thoughts when they are ready. Both Zane and Cuff are surprised by these words. Later that night, back at the mansion, the Duke is about to have tea. Alice is ready to serve it. But suddenly, the world around him becomes dark. A new figure appears in front of him. It is the leader of the witches. She stands there while the Duke is frozen in place. She tells him that right now, he is both awake in this world and unconscious in the real world. Alice, who is near him in the real world, tries to wake him up. The witch explains why she's here. She says she is looking for a wizard who has the power to control time freely. The Duke realizes that she is talking about Zane. She asks the Duke to help her convince Zane to use his powers, but the Duke refuses. He says that he cannot ask this of Zane, especially since Zane has kept his powers hidden for a reason. Hearing his answer, the witch tries to change his mind. She tells him that helping her might lead to breaking his curse. The Duke listens but still does not agree. At the same time, Zane remembers the day he met Cuff. He also remembers something painful. He hasn't used his powers since his parents died. He once tried to save them but failed, and that pain stopped him from using magic again. In the mansion, the Duke asks the witch directly if she is the one who cursed him. She says no and tells him that another witch knows about his curse. That witch will visit him soon. She might be able to break the curse, but only if he helps convince Zane. When the Duke wakes up, he tells Alice everything. He says that a witch named Delith came to see him. She asks for favor. He also says that another witch will visit him soon. Then, Alice and the Duke notice something in his hand. It is a business card with a picture of an octopus on it. It is nighttime at the mansion. Alice walks slowly through the dark hallway. There's no light and everything is quiet. Suddenly, she hears a strange voice. The voice tells her that the person she loves will come out of the next room. Alice looks towards the door. Just then, the Duke steps out of that room. Alice is surprised that the voice was right. As the Duke talks to her, he starts to notice that Alice is behaving in a strange way. She seems distracted and confused. Alice finally tells him the truth. She explains that she can hear a ghost. The ghost is the spirit of a bride who can only be heard by Alice. The ghost speaks to Alice. She says that long ago, she got married to the man she loved. But on her wedding day, something terrible happened. She became very angry because her ring did not fit. She fell down the stairs and died. Since that moment, she has been waiting for her beloved in the afterlife. The Duke and Alice decide to help the ghost. They want her to rest in peace. So they decide to find a ring that fits her finger perfectly, so she can finally move on. The two begin searching for the perfect ring. As they try to help, the ghost suddenly enters Alice's body. She possesses her so she can get closer to the Duke. But when the Duke sees Alice acting differently, he becomes scared and runs away. The ghost is very forward and makes makes the Duke nervous. After a short time, the ghost leaves Alice's body. She is grateful for their help and no longer wishes to stay. She disappears into the air but leaves behind a beautiful gift, a bouquet of flowers. She also wishes happiness to both Alice and the Duke. The next morning, the Duke and Alice are standing outside the mansion. They are waiting. The Duke thinks that a witch might come soon. He remembers Delit, who said someone would visit. The Duke plans to send the witch away if she arrives. He does not want to make any deal with the witch leader, and he especially does not want to betray his friend Zane. Soon, they see someone coming from far away. The figure is wearing a white cloak and says that she was sent by Delit, but before she can say more, she faints and falls to the ground. The Duke and Alice rush to help her. They realize she is very tired and dehydrated. She changes into her true form, an octopus. The couple takes her inside and places her gently in a pool. After she feels better, she introduces herself. Her name is Amelia. She says she is a witch and claims she can break the Duke's curse. She has done it once before for someone else. The Duke does not trust her right away. He does not want to upset Zane or go against him, but Amelia keeps talking. She explains her power and finally convinces the Duke to give her a chance. She says she can remove the curse. Amelia steps closer and tries to touch the Duke to break the curse, but he quickly moves away. He says that anyone who touches him might die, so she should be careful. Amelia smiles and says her magic is stronger. To show her power, Amelia covers the entire mansion in water. It looks like the mansion is now under the ocean. Fishes swim all around and everything feels magical. The Duke and Alice are amazed. They laugh and enjoy swimming and walking underwater. They feel like they are in a dream. After some fun, Amelia reminds the Duke about the curse. She asks him to try again. This time, the Duke holds out his hand. As Amelia reaches to touch him, a strong burst of magic stops her. The magic is powerful and causes pain to Amelia. She pulls back and explains that the curse is deeply attached to the Duke's body. Amelia also says that she now knows who cursed him. It is Fade, Deleth's twin sister. Alice hears this and remembers reading something about them in a book. She begins to wonder why they came to the mansion. The Duke thinks about the witch leader. He now believes that the leader may be planning to use Zane's powers to bring her sister back to life. Suddenly, Amelia falls to the ground. She has used almost all of her strength. The Duke and Alice help her and carry her back to the ocean. They thank her and say goodbye politely. Then they watch her leave. Later, the Duke tells Alice that they should visit their friends. He wants to share what they have learned about the curse and the witch. Alice agrees. That night, Cuff is sitting with her friend. She tells her that she had a talk with Viola. Cuff admits that she often falls in love with older people. She worries that she might lose them one day because of their age, but Viola tells her something touching. She says that she would rather suffer herself than let the person she loves be in pain. After that, Cuff looks at Zane and asks him a question. She wonders if he would ever leave her. Zane replies softly. He says he would only leave her if it was for her own good. The next day, the Duke and Alice decide to visit their friends at the circus. To avoid being recognized by others or getting too close to people, the Duke wears a disguise. He covers himself carefully so no one can notice who he is. As they walk toward the circus, they meet Hugo. He hears them mention the circus and becomes curious. When the Duke asks Hugo about Cuff, Hugo misunderstands and thinks the Duke wants to win her heart. He becomes defensive. But once Alice explains that they are looking for Cuff because of the Duke's curse, Hugo calms down. He believes their reason is good, so he offers to guide them to the circus. When they reach the circus, Cuff sees them and smiles brightly. She is very happy to see her friends again. She leads them to a quiet, cozy place where they can sit and talk. As they settle down, Cuff tells them that Zane is not there right now. He has gone somewhere else for a while. The Duke decides to remove his disguise. Hugo, still curious about the Duke's curse, begins to ask questions. To answer him, the Duke picks a flower and holds it. In a few seconds, the flower begins to wither and dry up in his hand. It shows how his curse works. Hugo is amazed, but he says that he is not scared at all. At that moment, the circus director appears. He has seen the flower wither in the Duke's hand and is very surprised. Instead of being afraid, the director becomes interested. He tells the Duke that someone with powers like his could be perfect for the circus. The idea is unexpected, and the Duke is surprised by the suggestion. After the director leaves, the Duke begins to think, maybe it is not such a bad idea to try performing. His strange curse might attract people. Alice agrees and decides to try something too. She joins Cuff to practice trapeze. They swing and balance high in the air. Meanwhile, Hugo tries to teach the Duke how to juggle. At first, the Duke struggles and finds it difficult to focus. After some practice, the Duke finally succeeds. He learns how to juggle properly and performs a perfect routine. Everyone claps and smiles. Then Cuff returns, carrying Zane in her arms. Zane is drunk and seems very tired, but when he sees the Duke and Alice, he realizes his friends have come to see him, and he feels happy. In another place, far away in the demon realm, Daleth is standing near a tomb. This is where Sharon, someone important, is buried. At that moment, a witch named Keto arrives. Daleth Daleth shows her something shocking, the body of Alice's mother. Even though she's not breathing, her heart is still beating slowly. Daleth explains that she once cared deeply for Alice's mother and wanted to help her live a normal life again. She asks Keto to keep this a secret. She also wants help to bring Zane back to the world of witches. She asks Keto to travel to the human world. Keto agrees and leaves to find her girlfriend, named Tito, so they can work together on this plan. As Daleth watches Keto leave, she remembers something painful. Her own twin sister had hurt her in the past. She left marks on Daleth's face, simply because they looked the same. These memories still affect her deeply. The next day, the group goes to a confectionery shop. Cuff steps outside to place an order. While she is gone, the Duke quietly talks to Zane. He tells him that Daleth wants to use his powers. Zane becomes serious and says that it may be time for him to leave the city. He does not want to put his friends in danger. While they talk, Cuff returns and hears part of the conversation, but she pretends that she did not hear anything. She stays quiet. That evening, the circus prepares for a special show. Everyone is excited. Performers show their acts one by one. The audience enjoys the show. Zane stands at a distance, watching everything. When it is Cuff's turn to perform, something strange happens. Two young girls arrive suddenly. They are witches, Keto and Teto. Zane recognizes them immediately. They come from the demon realm, and they are working with Daleth. The witches speak clearly. They say that Zane must return with them. If he refuses, they will hurt Cuff. Zane becomes worried. He does not want anything to happen to Cuff. He agrees to return, but only because he had already planned to say goodbye to his friends first. Before leaving, the witches tell him that they will return for him in a few days. The next day, the circus sets up in the town, and everyone becomes excited, especially the Duke, who is happy because he is going to perform in front of a large crowd. This is a big moment for him, and he feels a mix of nervousness and excitement. At the same time, Hugo goes to find Cuff. He tells her that Zane is waiting for her in a quiet passage in town. Zane wants to talk to her. Hugo smiles and gently tells Cuff to be happy if Zane confesses his feelings. Then, Hugo leaves them alone to talk in private. Zane stands quietly in the passage, waiting for Cuff. When she arrives, he thanks her for always staying with him and supporting him. But instead of telling her that he is planning to leave, he avoids the truth. Cuff quickly realizes something is wrong. She can feel that Zane wants to say goodbye. This hurts her deeply. She becomes both angry and sad because Zane is hiding the real reason. Feeling upset, Cuff tells him that they are no longer friends. But before she walks away, Zane stops her. He speaks from his heart. He says that he loves her and that everything he does is to protect her, not to hurt her. Later, the circus show is about to begin. A strange woman dressed in white passes by the Duke and Alice. She walks without saying anything. Just then, Cuff arrives, but she looks confused and weak. Zane follows her closely. Something feels strange. Suddenly, during the middle of the circus act, a huge carnivorous plant appears. It breaks through the circus and begins destroying everything. The plant is wild and dangerous. It is not a normal plant. It is controlled by a witch named Keto. Zane watches the chaos and understands that Daleth is behind this attack. The plant becomes even more violent and starts chasing people. It grabs little Hugo and traps him. At that moment, a talking snake appears and tells the witches that if they want to save Hugo, they must go with her. Zane prepares to use his magic to fight back, but the Duke steps forward. Using his deadly curse, the Duke touches the plant, making it wither and die. The plant crumbles to dust, and Hugo and the other trapped circus members are saved. The witches are shocked by what they see. They quickly run away. Zane becomes worried. He knows the enemy might return again, but Cuff stands strong and asks him not to use his powers anymore. She tells him they should handle this together. She wants to protect the circus and the people without using destructive magic. Then, she runs away, shouting that she will give her answer to Zane's love later. Cuff climbs up to the rooftops of the town, trying to find Daleth. But at that moment, another giant plant attacks. It grabs the Duke this time and traps him. The circus members work together and manage to rescue him. Meanwhile, Daleth uses magic to create an illusion of Zane's friend. She tries to confuse him. While Zane is distracted, Daleth tries to harm the real Cuff. She sends a strong blast of wind toward her. Zane reacts quickly and knocks Daleth down. The witch now hangs from the edge by only one hand. Zane sees that Cuff is in danger. She begs him not to use his powers, but then Daleth creates an illusion of young Cuff, begging Zane to protect her. Zane suddenly understands. He is the only one who can truly protect her smile and happiness. With strong determination, Zane uses his magic. He stops time itself. In that frozen moment, he saves Cuff from danger. They use the stillness of time to catch the witch's partner. After saving everyone, time starts again. In that moment, Cuff gives her answer. She kisses Zane, showing that she accepts his love. The people in town believe everything was part of a circus illusion, but the Duke knows it was all real. Later, everyone helps clean up the town. Then, a woman in white comes to talk to Alice and the Duke. The Duke recognizes her. She is Daleth. He becomes angry and blames her for putting the circus in danger, but Daleth calmly explains that Zane's power helped everyone and that she might be able to help Alice wake her mother someday. Alice is surprised. She says that her mother died in an accident, but Daleth says this is not true. She claims that a man named Rob from the mansion lied to Alice. Now Alice feels confused. If Daleth is telling the truth, she might have a chance to see her mother together again. Cuff arrives and suddenly hits Dallas. Her mask falls off, and now everyone can see her real face. That evening, the circus members gather in a cheerful bar to celebrate their success. The director asks if Zane and Cuff are witches. When they cannot answer, he uses magic to stop them. But then he laughs and says he's not surprised. He believes everyone in the circus is strange in their own way. He reminds them that the circus is a big family, which makes Cuff happy. The director also reveals something surprising. He is married to a witch who is an octopus. Alice and the Duke are shocked because they know this witch. She once tried to help them break the Duke's curse. Finally, while everyone is together, Cuff and Zane make an announcement. They are now a couple. Everyone claps and celebrates. Later, Alice and the Duke say goodbye to their friends and begin the journey back home. After spending 4 long days away, the Duke and Alice finally return to the mansion. Rob, who stays behind the entire time, becomes very happy when he sees them again. He feels very lonely when the mansion is quiet, so their return makes him feel cheerful again. Walter goes straight to meet his mother. He tells her that he has completed all of his academic tasks. However, his mother does not show much emotion. She responds in a cold way, which makes Walter feel disappointed. Because of her cold attitude, Walter becomes even more determined to prove himself. He wants to become the rightful heir of the family more than ever. As he walks out of the room, he meets his younger sister Viola. She is sitting and happily eating a very tall stack of macarons. Walter notices that she doesn't offer him any and keeps eating them alone. He then makes a sharp remark telling her that she has gained weight. He adds that their kind butler Rob might not like it if she keeps looking like that. Viola becomes upset by this and quickly decides to go on a diet. She asks Walter for help and begins exercising. At first, she feels full of energy and motivation, but soon she starts to feel tired and thinks about giving up. However, Walter continues to encourage her. He tells her that if she keeps working hard, she can achieve anything she wants. These words give Viola strength. She remembers when she was a child, and Walter supported her when she felt sad. Now, just like in the past, he is helping her again. Back at the Duke's mansion, Rob quickly prepares tea for the Duke and Alice and serves it in a room that holds many beautiful and strange objects. Some of these items are magical, and they were given to the Duke by his wizard friends. Alice becomes curious and reaches for a shiny golden box, but before she can open it, Rob gives her a different item, a book filled with illustrations that the Duke drew when he was just a young boy. These drawings show his thoughts and feelings from the past. Rob also presents gifts sent by their circus friends. The tall wizard named Zane gives Alice a chessboard as a present. Another member, the young girl, brings her a special kind of coffee beans. Each gift carries warm memories and feelings from their journey. The next day, Zane and Cuff go on a quiet date at the zoo. They walk together while looking at the animals. However, Zane seems slightly annoyed. The reason is that little Hugo has joined them. Also, the circus director gave them a task to search for more people, which makes the trip feel less like a date. Even though he tries to enjoy the day, Zane's mind keeps going back to Dallas. He thinks about what she might be planning in secret. He also feels uncertain about Alice's mother and whether she will ever wake up again. His thoughts become heavy and full of worry. Cuff notices this and gently pulls his attention back to the present. She reminds him to enjoy their time together. Later, little Hugo shares his feelings with Cuff. He says he is very fond of her. Since he has very few friends, he treasures her kindness and care. After they finish the visit to the zoo, Hugo leaves. On his way, he crosses paths with Walter, who is walking toward a quiet and dark passage. Something seems strange about Walter's path, but Hugo keeps moving. That night, Zane and Cuff try to visit the mansion again. However, a strong snowstorm suddenly begins. The wind is harsh, and the snow makes it hard to see. They look around and find a cave. They decide to stay there and wait until the storm is over. To pass the time, they play together inside the cave and try to stay warm. After some time, Cuff quietly asks Zane if he is still thinking about Dallas. Zane admits that he is. Cuff gently reassures him, saying they will stay together no matter what happens. Zane then expresses something he has been hiding. He says he truly wants to break the Duke's curse, but deep inside, he worries that his magic might not be strong enough. He knows that facing Sade, one of the most powerful witches, will be the hardest part of all. Well, if I continue with the story, my gym membership might be canceled. Emma, take the charge from here.
Now, Alice and the Duke find themselves trapped inside a magical dream book. In this strange dream world, both of them receive a mission. They must enter the story of Little Red Riding Hood and hunt down the dangerous wolf. If they manage to catch the wolf, the girl in red will grant them a wish. As they travel through the story, they finally reach the wolf. It is sleeping peacefully. Quietly, they move closer and successfully capture it. But once the wolf sees that its mother is not there, it suddenly changes. The scary wolf becomes a harmless little puppy. They hand the puppy over to Little Red Riding Hood, hoping she will reward them. But instead, she refuses to grant any wish. Suddenly, the Duke wakes up from the dream. He finds himself lying in the library. Alice is sleeping peacefully beside him. That same night, in another part of the mansion, Walter begins to feel a strong pain inside his heart. He starts thinking about his mother. He believes she always favored his older brother instead of him. His mother, along with Viola, always wants the Duke to become the true heir of the family. Because of this, his mother often stands by the window of her room, silently watching, always hoping that the Duke will return home someday after breaking the curse. But Walter has a different idea. He quietly makes a plan. He decides to go to the demon realm while the red moon is shining. He wants to find out the truth about his brother's strange curse. He does not know that his mother is also planning to go to the same place. She too wants to learn more about her son's condition. After she leaves the room, Walter finds his chance. He quickly uses the mirror and crosses the magical portal into the demon realm. At the same time, Alice talks to the Duke. She says that she also wants to go to the demon realm. She needs to know whether what Duluth told her is true. The Duke agrees to join her. Both of them also use the mirror and step into the strange world. When they arrive, they are surprised to find that Walter is already there. But when someone says his name aloud, the nearby witches immediately notice his presence. Because of this, the Duke asks Alice to stay close to her brother while the Duke moves away to distract the witches. While walking together, Walter asks Alice to go back home, but she refuses. She says she will only follow the Duke's orders. He told her to stay by his side, and she wants to listen to him. Walter becomes confused. He starts to remember the maid from his childhood. He wonders how someone like her could live in such a dark and dangerous place. But Alice answers with a gentle smile. She says she is happy staying close to the Duke and warns him not to judge his brother wrongly. These words hurt Walter. He starts to feel desperate. He begins comparing himself to the Duke and feels like he will always be second best. They keep walking and finally reach a big church where Duluth is supposed to be, but suddenly a small wizard appears and steals Alice's necklace. Walter runs after him, but the wizard mocks him. He makes fun of Walter for always being second in the family. Walter is left in shock. Both of them chase the wizard to a small house where he hides. After searching all around, Walter finally corners him. Then he notices something strange. There are two wizards. They are twin brothers. The older twin tells the younger not to always follow his commands. He should learn to make his own choices. After listening, the young wizard gives the necklace back to Alice. She gently thanks him. Then they all return to the church. Walter asks Alice to stay outside. He plans to go inside from another side. Once inside, he hears someone crying. It is Duluth. She cries alone, thinking about the painful scars left by her sister. Walter listens quietly. He tells her that he understands her pain, but Duluth quickly attacks him with her magic and throws him off a high chandelier. She realizes he is the Duke's brother and demands to know why he is there. Walter says he heard everything, even if he was not supposed to. He admits that he should not feel sympathy for a witch, but he truly understands her situation. Just like him, other people have decided how she should live. He came only to find answers about his brother's curse, but when he saw a woman crying, he could not leave. Duluth becomes shy. She says she is not a lady. She has too many scars and cannot be like others. But Walter gently stops her. He says that even with her scars, she is beautiful. He tells her to believe in herself. Suddenly, witches Keto and Teto arrive. They tell Duluth that Alice and the Duke have been captured. They quickly close the door because Duluth is not wearing her mask. Walter speaks again. He tells Duluth that to face her scars, she must accept them. He reminds her that she has value, even more than his brother. Hearing his kind words, Duluth finds courage. She removes her mask and shows her face to everyone. The other witches look at her and smile. They finally see her true beauty and all congratulate her. Cuff and Zane welcome Viola and take her to a girl who is taking care of a lion, which is now part of the circus. Later, Viola and Cuff decide to take a walk through the city. During the walk, Viola buys clothes for Cuff. Cuff feels very happy when she wears the new dress. She tells Viola that she could become a great designer, but Viola replies that she cannot do that because her life is already planned out. After they finish walking, they go to the circus because the show is about to begin. Meanwhile, in the demon realm, the young ones are still there. Duluth releases Alice and the Duke and asks everyone to follow her because she wants to show them something important. While walking, both Walter and Duluth call the Duke a coward. It looks like Duluth now supports the younger brother Walter because he helped her face her fears. She also notices that her heart beats faster every time Walter looks at her. At the end of the path, they all go into a dark room. Duluth shows Alice her mother's body. She tells Alice that a man with an eye patch lied to her. Her mother is not dead, but under a sleeping curse, just like the Duke once was. The curse was placed by her sister, who is a very powerful witch. Alice wants to take her mother with her, but in the end, she lets Daleth take care of her instead. The Duke then asks Daleth about his own curse. Daleth shows them a memory from the day it all happened at the mansion. In the memory, the Duke is playing with Walter, but then he stops and asks Sharon about Alice. Sharon replies with a smile that Alice is in her room. Far away, Sada and Daleth are hiding in the trees, watching Sharon. Daleth suddenly feels scared and overwhelmed by the thought of seeing her sister again. She quickly ends the illusion and says she will give more answers another time. She asks Walter if she can visit him one day, and he agrees. Then Daleth ends the spell and sends everyone back home. Alice and the Duke are now back at the mansion. They feel sure that Sharon is still alive. As they walk through the mansion hallway, they start to think that Daleth might not be as bad as they thought. They even begin to believe they could become friends with her. The next day, Alice gives the Duke a special gift from Zane, a magic lamp. When the Duke rubs the lamp, a genie appears. The genie has Alice's face and body. The genie says he can give 3 wishes. The Duke uses 1 wish to break the curse. The genie does it right away, and the Duke is surprised because it seems too easy. But the genie explains that to break the curse, he had to pass it on to someone else. The Duke feels sad and guilty, thinking about the unknown person who now has the curse, so he uses his last wish to take the curse back. That night, Alice takes a bath and starts thinking about her friends who are now a couple. She remembers that they shared their first kiss, and she also wishes for that kind of moment. Later, the Duke walks her outside the mansion as she heads to her room. After they talk, they say goodbye, but Alice suddenly wants to kiss him, so she goes to find him. She finds him in the hallway. She writes a message on the window asking him for a kiss. She places her hand on the glass, and the Duke places his hand on the other side. Slowly, they move closer to each other. Finally, they share their first kiss through the glass. After the kiss, Alice quickly runs back to her room. On a rainy afternoon, Walter notices Daleth standing outside one of the mansion windows. He invites her inside to have some tea. As she enters, Daleth sees how silent the mansion feels. It reminds her of the past when she used to see Walter's mother from afar. Back then, Sharon brought energy and joy to the mansion, but once she disappeared, the house returned to its usual cold and quiet state. While Walter steps away to fetch more tea, Daleth writes a note asking to meet again and quietly leaves. At the Duke's mansion, Alice talks with Rob about what Daleth said regarding her mother and the false story. Alice chooses to forgive Rob because she understands he only wanted to protect her. Rob starts sharing stories about the witches. He says they first appeared when the mansion was still the main home. The Duke's grandfather, who was deeply religious, didn't suspect anything. Rob explains that the grandfather hired both him and Sharon, but after the grandfather passed away, the witches stopped coming. The last time he saw the witches, they were taking Sharon away. Because of the trouble caused by the Duke's curse, Rob couldn't help her. Alice thanks him for telling the truth. As she enters the house, Rob remains standing in the rain, thinking about how the Duke's grandfather once saved him when he had nowhere to go. Outside the circus, Zane watches the rainfall. Daleth shows up and tells him she wants to join forces with him now to achieve her goal. Zane believes her and agrees to help. Daleth then asks him to look into her sister using the register book she only pretended to destroy. That night, the Duke and Cuff plan a small celebration at the mansion for Alice's 2nd anniversary. When she arrives, the Duke presents a cake he made with care. Alice is touched and says she wants to stay with him forever. Cuff soon joins them and hands Alice a gift from Viola, a new dress. Alice changes into it in front of the Duke, and all 3 enjoy the evening together. Later that night, due to the rain, the roof in Alice's room collapses. The Duke offers her a room inside the mansion. Then Keto arrives and asks if they've seen Daleth. Seeing the damage in the room, she offers to fix it, but requests to be left alone to do her work. That night, Alice and the Duke share a room. He tells her to sleep on the bed while he takes the floor. But as the night goes on, he can't fall asleep and notices that Alice still keeps the flower he once gave her. He steps outside and offers Keto a drink. Keto says Daleth has been forcing them to follow her ever since Sade disappeared. She doesn't believe Daleth is fit to lead and thinks she should live her life more freely. Lately, Keto has noticed Daleth seems to care for Walter. She suggests that if Daleth really loves him, there's hope they can all live peacefully with humans. The next morning, Keto finishes repairing Alice's room. She jokingly says they should invite her girlfriend and Daleth to the next pajama party. Alice and the Duke agree, which makes Keto so excited that she accidentally damages the roof again. Meanwhile, Zane, Cuff, and Hugo are out in the city. A group of teens confront them and start mocking Hugo. These boys were once his friends when he lived as a thief. After annoying him, they run off. Hugo chases them and finds them injured. A blonde boy and an older woman had attacked the group when they tried to steal something. The two only acted in self-defense. When Hugo looks around, the strangers are gone. He decides to go back and tell Zane everything he saw. One calm morning, the Duke quietly reads a book. He flips through the pages and notices a slightly objectionable picture. Just then, Alice enters and gets curious about what he is doing, but instead of finding him in the usual spot, she sees him floating outside a third-floor window. He quickly explains that he is using a flying broom given to him by Cuff. Soon after, Cuff and Zane arrive at the mansion. They ask if they can stay with the Duke for a while. A strange pair, a young blonde boy and an older woman, have been searching for them. These are the same people Cuff and Hugo once saw. The circus director thinks the visitors might be looking for the Duke because of his time-related magic. To keep the Duke safe, he gave them time off and told them to stay hidden. The Duke agrees, happy to have his friends with him. Later, the Duke pulls Zane aside to speak in private. During the conversation, he gives back the registration book he earlier pretended to destroy. Suddenly, the blonde boy from the city appears in front of them. At the same time, the old woman shows up in the Duke's room and interrupts Alice and Cuff while they are busy. The boy moves closer to the Duke and manages to touch him, but strangely, the Duke's curse has no effect on him. The boy then uses magic to make the room spin, and after everything settles, he introduces himself as Nico. He says he is a magician searching for the warlock who controls time. In the hallway, Cuff tries to shield Alice, but the older woman blows some strange smoke from a cigarette. The smoke steals Cuff's magical powers. The woman then introduces herself as Nico's wife. The Duke tells Zane to listen carefully to Nico's story so they can understand what he wants. Nico begins explaining that he is cursed with immortality, a spell placed on him by a witch named Sade. Even though he killed her, the curse didn't break. He says that years ago, when he was an old man, Sade turned him into a child and gave him immortality. She said it was too soon for humans to use magic. Later, Nico learned that the same witch, Sade, also cursed the Duke when he was a young boy. Nico says they once faced Sade in battle and defeated her, but he didn't die because of his curse, though his fellow fighters did. Zane starts to believe what he says and asks what he wants now. Nico says he wants to travel back in time before the curse began and destroy Sade once again, this time with help from all the magicians. Nico invites them to come to the magic school. He says Zane can learn how to control his magical powers there, and the Duke can practice using magical weapons. Nico's wife, Ichi, also wants Cuff to join the school so she can grow stronger and better protect her friends. After sharing their story, the magicians prepare to leave. Nico calls his friend, who transforms into a flying horse pulling a carriage. Before they go, the Duke grabs onto the carriage, saying he doesn't want to destroy the witch. Instead, he wants to understand her and maybe become her friend someday. Nico hands the Duke a backpack filled with details about the magic school. Then he casts a spell that sends the Duke falling gently through the sky with the help of a magic parachute. Later, Cuff and Zane decide to leave the mansion too, since they don't need to hide anymore. Cuff feels motivated. She wants to get ready for the magic school and become stronger so she can protect all the people she cares about. After everything that happens, the Duke decides to travel to the magic school with Zane and Cuff. He agrees with Nico's idea of going back in time, but he does not like the idea of destroying Sade. Instead, he hopes to speak with Nico about this later. As they read through the servant registry, they discover it is actually Sharon's personal diary. One page talks about when Sharon met Sade. Back then, Sade said she was a nun with special powers. She could see people's pasts through divination, and she was able to speak clearly about Sharon's past. At first, it looked like the two got along well, but now they are confused. If they were close, why would Sade place a curse on her? As the group thinks deeply about Sharon's words, the Duke begins to believe that Sade might have had a rare power, maybe like Zane's ability, but instead of seeing power levels, Sade could see inside people's minds. Meanwhile, back at the main mansion, Daleth is again hiding among the trees with Keto. She's watching Walter, but does not want him to notice her. However, Viola sees her and kindly invites her inside to spend time together. She prepares tea and asks Daleth to join her. Viola then takes the chance to help Daleth. She does her makeup and trims her hair, remembering how Daleth had visited her brother earlier and had looked at him with interest. Viola thinks Walter still needs to grow up, but she enjoys helping others. With her cheerful nature, Viola gently asks Daleth why she never looks into a mirror. Daleth says she hates her face because of the scars that won't go away. Viola tries to cheer her up by offering to cover the scars with makeup, but Daleth Daleth keeps thinking about how her sister ruined her face, and it makes her emotional. Seeing her in pain, Viola gives her a warm hug to comfort her. Once the makeover is done, they go to see Walter, but when they find him, he doesn't even notice Daleth's new look. Feeling disappointed, Daleth leaves. Both Voila and Kido become upset with Walter's cold reaction. As she turns to leave, Daleth gives him a soft smile, something she has never done before. Walter is shocked. It's the first time he has ever seen her smile. That night, Viola visits the Duke, joking about his time with Alice, but she soon realizes that he is distracted and seems to be hiding something. Curious, Viola searches through his belongings. She finds the backpack that the magician gave him, and inside it is a beautiful dress. Walter tries to explain, but before he can, Cuff walks in and accidentally talks about the magic school in front of Viola. Viola becomes excited. She shows the dress to the butler and apologizes to the Duke for speaking about it in front of his sister. Still, Viola feels it is finally time to be honest and share the truth, that she and the others are witches. Later, everyone travels together by train to the magic school. Walter decides to come with them. He wants to learn more about his brother's curse. Moreover, their mother asked him to look after his sister and also learn the knowledge that many noble families are expected to have. When Daleth finds out that Walter is leaving for a long journey, she decides to follow him secretly to make sure he stays safe. While riding the train, Cuff and Zane tell Viola that they are witches, but Viola is not surprised. She tells them she already had a clue. She once climbed in through the second-floor window of the mansion and saw unusual things. After the train ride, the group of Warasa walks along a long road that leads to the school. Nico and his wife Ichi are waiting for them. Inside the school, Nico introduces the other students. There are 4 of them, and each one has a unique magical power. He also introduces the other teacher, who is the same man that once turned into a horse at the Duke's mansion. Later, while the Duke and Walter take a bath together, Walter explains why he really came to the school. He wants to return to the past and stop Sade from casting the curse on them. Meanwhile, outside the school, Daleth watches Walter from a distance. She feels nervous, thinking he might have met another woman. After everything that happens, Cuff finishes her bath at the magic school. Outside, Ichi is waiting for her. Ichi is the magician who will be her teacher, and she promises to help Cuff become even stronger. For the training, Ichi creates a magical water version of Cuff. It looks just like her and moves like her. The challenge is that Cuff must defeat this copy, but she is not allowed to use any magic. Cuff tries many times to destroy the water figure. Every time she breaks it, the figure forms again. This continues until Cuff feels very tired and her energy almost runs out. At the end, her water double overpowers her completely. Ichi watches closely and realizes that Cuff thinks too much while fighting. She does not use her mind in the right way. Ichi decides that Cuff needs to improve her focus and thinking if she wants her powers to grow. The next day, Daleth surprises everyone by breaking the powerful magical barrier that protects the school. This happens after a boring theory class with a third teacher, where most of the students look tired and uninterested. Later, they attend a class with Professor Ichi again. She warns the students that their training will be very hard. Then she gives each student a magical item. She tells them that the object has a hidden power and they must figure out what it does. Only after discovering the object's true use, they are allowed to rest. Training begins with Ichi attacking the students using her water-based magic. The students move around, trying to avoid the attacks while they try to understand their tools. As a fast stream of water rushes toward Viola, Walter quickly steps in front of her. He blocks the water using his magical item. The item is a hilt, and it suddenly transforms into a sword using magic. Ichi is impressed and congratulates Walter. She rewards him by letting him keep the sword. At the same time, Nico is standing at the school's entrance watching the class. When he turns around, he sees a woman in white walking through the hallway. He quickly thinks it is Sade, but in the school's library, the woman is actually Daleth. Nico follows her, still thinking she is Sade. Daleth sees this and pretends to be Sade to learn more about the school and its secrets. The magician approaches Daleth and tells her that Sade should be dead. He says she cannot be alive after the curse he gave her long ago. Because of that curse, Nico cannot grow old with his wife. Daleth tries to use illusion magic to put him to sleep, but Ichi appears and removes the illusion. Both Ichi and Nico now stand ready to fight. Just then, Kato arrives. She had lost track of Daleth and finally finds her. Seeing the danger, Kido quickly asks for the school to be evacuated to keep the students safe. When Daleth hears this, she realizes that this is a real magic school and that Walter is a student here. At that moment, she decides to stop pretending. She tells them that she is not Sade, she is her sister. Later, Daleth and Keto join the classes with the rest of the group. During Nico's lesson, he tells the students that the topic will be about Sade. He wants everyone to share what they know about her, to help solve the curse that many of them carry. That night, Zane suggests a plan. He wants the Duke, Alice, and Daleth to try a small trip into the past as practice. He says that his power is easier to control there, but he still needs more training. Before Daleth crosses into the past, Zane asks her if her sister Sade has the power to read minds. Daleth does not give a full answer. She says she cannot tell him because she is also under Sade's curse. They step into the portal and return to the mansion, arriving at a time before the Duke was cursed. But something goes wrong. They all get separated during the time travel. Zane finds himself behind some trees and sees a woman. At first, he thinks it is Daleth, but when she turns around, he sees that it is Sade. She understands right away that Zane has come from the future. Meanwhile, Daleth floats high above the mansion, confirming that the Duke's story is true. Alice and the Duke hide themselves so no servant can see them. While hiding, their hat flies off and gets caught by a man in a suit. The man is Victor, the Duke's grandfather. At the same time, Sade speaks with Zane about someone she loved in the past. She tries to read his mind. Then, she explains that someone had stopped her from staying with the person she loved. Suddenly, she tries to attack Zane, but Daleth arrives and saves him. She tells him to open a portal while she holds off her sister. Sade now realizes something sad, that in the future, her sister no longer loves her. When the Duke says goodbye to his grandfather, a strong pull starts to drag them all into the portal. Zane tells them they must leave now. Sade has sensed their presence. As Daleth steps into the portal, Sade appears behind her trying to follow, but Daleth stops her sister, and the portal closes just in time. Before it shuts, Sade catches a glimpse of Alice's face. After returning to the present time, the Duke takes a bath. He looks troubled. He is not sure anymore if it is possible to talk to Sade and become friends with her. She might be too dark and evil inside to ever change.
And that was the ending. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. See you guys in the next one.
See you next time!